By virtue of being some sort of a leader in society, I get questions about a bunch of different things, and I love trying to answer these questions, but I'm only human. I'm trying to figure it out myself. So I wanted to talk today about personal relationships. I wanted to talk about how I view surroundings and why perhaps I've spent many, many years of my life being alone. Alone, I mean, I have friends, I have people that I care about, but really, in the partner sense, because I think a lot of people, a lot of young people, especially in Ohio that I've seen, seem to have this belief that we need to spend time with someone else for the sake of trying to get away from our aloneness, and we gravitate towards the other sex because obviously we can have sex and enjoy it. And we don't realize that consistently partaking in that thing can actually be detrimental. There's incredible healing that comes with touching, sure, but at the end of the day, if we don't realize that spending the time alone and being uncomfortable alone is the gateway into not actually growing as a person. Meaning, if we don't realize that being our own best friend is the way to become someone else's best friend, then we're going to be lost for many, many years. And then we'll go and look for gurus and perhaps someone watching this video about, what it is in life that really matters. The conclusion I always come to is what matters is being a useful member of the human species, to put in our efforts, our 2 cents, and build ourselves as human beings to be useful in general. And for men in particular, I know whenever in my life I have not felt useful, I've had a low self-esteem, I have not gone through the motions of building my physical, mental, spiritual strength, that I've felt pretty shitty about myself and thus taken actions that have hurt me and hurt people around me. So I always advocate for young men to spend a lot of time just doing the work, failing, doing the work, failing, and trying to live the most, trying to go and learn from older people and accrue that wisdom so that we can surround ourselves with people that we actually want to be around rather than people that are just kind of bags of flesh. And for young women, in general, whenever I talk to them about their spouses or their partners and the things that they've gone through, perhaps they have 2 kids and they're single, or perhaps, they've not had the support that they've been wanting in their life. They have this sense that perhaps they don't trust people, they don't trust the society around them, and it's a useful thing to not have trust. It's a useful thing to pursue things alone and try to build the most that we can. But I always take my lessons from nature, and nature teaches me that working together is always better. Every time, more or less, it's better. There's very little in nature that doesn't work together. So perhaps human beings aren't different species, but being one species, we are better together. And so the question becomes, how do we look past each other's failures, look past each other's difficulties when we're trying to piece it all together? And what it comes down to is, in my belief, is each of those 2 people needs to have something that they want to go and do in their life, something that is apart from the other person, something that is deeply ingrained in here. And what I've observed is that most people don't spend the time to find that thing. And most of the time it's easier to just live day by day and not really think about where we're going. And I avoided it for a lot of years, and the only thing that got me to the point where I actually started thinking about where I wanted to go was failing deeply, right? Like I was one of the last people to graduate from my dental school class, right? Like there's 150 kids. I mean, I guess some of them didn't graduate, they flunked out, but there was this tremendous amount of time where I was thinking to myself, my goodness, like I've done so much that so many of these other people haven't done, and yet I'm here in a situation that should be expected, right? So something that sequentially, if I was doing all the things that I wanted to do and needed to do, I would have graduated on time. And so I used that time that I stayed a little bit after my cohort to actually think about the things, because I was kind of depressed. I was like, Am I not adequate? Am I selfish? You know, am I spoiled? Am I taking my situation for granted? I had all these doubts and these questions. And the only way out of that, my friend, the only way out of those questions is action. Really. And so I started to take daily action towards the things that I wanted to do. It's part of the reason that a lot of these paintings got created. Well, some of these are pretty old, but some of these did happen in that process. Actually, I don't know if any of these happened in that process. But there's other ones. A lot of the YouTube videos that I started off with happened in that process. Me walking around, if you go back to some of my videos, me walking around in this kind of studio apartment. It's not a studio apartment, it's actually a 3-bedroom, 3-bath that I basically had the entire floor to myself because I was smart about not letting people into that situation. It's the start of me exploring who I am as a human being, really, like deeply. Not in the sense that I hadn't been doing that in years prior, but in a sense that it was a deep study, it was an analysis of the things that I needed in my life. And so I pursued, going on walks in the woods as a way to build my spiritual self. I pursued book club as a way to educate myself on ideologies that I needed to instill, to learn from wise people. I prioritized, obviously, doing the school thing and, just getting the reps in and just going in every day and being consistent, getting results. I prioritized always showing up, making a YouTube video a day, moving forward, making a YouTube video a day, moving forward. And for a long time, I posted all of them myself. I did a lot of the, descriptions and stuff like that, probably for like 100 videos or so. I was in it. It was a long time, and maybe more than that. And then I discovered through my readings and through my online mentors and augmenting my Instagram account to basically have constantly be inspired by billionaires, by successful people. I learned the power of delegation, and I started applying some of these factors, these principles. And it has transformed my life to realize how incredibly powerful it is to have people working for us, for our missions, and the type of person that we have to be to deserve that type of attention, that labor. And so in this entire process, I'm trying to explain that I have been trying to develop myself. Now, I'm not saying that I have the right approach to life in any capacity. I like my approach. I've been enjoying it. I get a lot of dividends out of it. Money, situations that I actually enjoy, cool friends, cool people to talk to. I love that stuff. And people around me in my household, I'd like to think, respect me in some capacity. So the reason that I say this is because a lot of people don't spend that time to do that for themselves. To spend to disappear for a year and just work on ourselves, We don't show ourselves the consistency of action. We don't show ourselves the accountability to say, hey, have you done this thing? And so that's something that I try to give to everyone watching these videos and people in the Terabify network and people on my staff, is that level of accountability. Because worst case scenario is I'm just annoying. Worst case scenario is I'm annoying, and that's okay with me. I'm okay with perceived as annoying, as long as I'm actually helping someone get that accountability in their life, build the things, build faith in themselves, and then I've taught them how to fish. Go on, use it how you wish. So, but again, this entire process has come with me saying, no, I'm not going to go on dates. I'm not going to go and have a lot of sex. I'm not going to go and spend time with people for the sake of not feeling lonely. I refuse these days to spend time with people for the sake of not feeling lonely. And by virtue of not having that level of giving in, that level of conformity, I'm actually surrounded by really, really cool people. Like I get to talk to someone that was in the Pentagon, once every 2 weeks. I get to talk to a world-renowned author every Saturday if I want to go on a walk. I get to talk to someone that owns a multi-million dollar diabetes empire in Dubai. I get to talk to a media business owner, and for many of you, you might think to yourself, well, that sounds boring, dude. And that's fine, right? But I like those things, so I'm happy. I'm happy with the decisions that I've made. And so when I think about a partner, when I think about the commitment to someone else to have that in my environment, I first and foremost consider, what do I want to do? Do I enjoy the things that I have, and do I want to continue having those things? And if the answer is yes, which it is yes currently, that partner has to fit into those things. And that means that I'm necessarily going to end up with someone that most people don't want to fit into. Most people don't get. Most people don't understand. And by virtue of that, actually makes the process easier of parsing through the bullshit and like the people that I don't want to be with, the personalities, the trifling, the whatever, and the people that I do want to be with. And I think a lot of people get into, especially when we're younger, I think like prior to the age of 21, maybe 25, prior to the age of 25, I think a lot of us are kind of insecure about our loneliness. And we assume that we should be with people because we see so many others that are perhaps promiscuous or spending time having sex or going on dates and stuff like this. And I want to try to normalize the whole concept of young men, especially, spending some time alone. And I'm not saying I haven't had relationships and I haven't been in love. I think it's very, very important to have that in our younger years, but it's not something that it's not the only thing that has made me into me, Like trying to find completeness out of someone else is not the way to go in when we're in our 20s, in my opinion. We need to find completeness in ourselves first. And that way we can actually help other people. We can actually be useful. So hopefully you found this useful. And if you are in your lonely years, or if you're in a relationship, I'm not judging you either which way. I'm just saying, in every scenario, I personally would recommend that you try to find that thing in life that you really want to do. And if you want some help, I think there should be a survey down below in the description for basically if you want my help. If you want my help finding purpose, there's a questionnaire that you can fill out that'll get you started. It should be in the links below. And my information's available to you. Come get it if you want it. And let's work together. If you're someone that's passionate, a leader in society, someone that wants a lot of wealth for the sake of helping people and to bring your families, your tradition, culture up, things that you feel important up, let's go and make some money together. Let's enjoy our lives and do the very most. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Take care of yourself. Peace.